The easiest thing you can do to double your progress towards a better physique is track 5 key elements. In fact, not tracking at least one of these key things is the reason why most people get stuck at all in the process of building muscle and losing fat. Not only am I going to explain exactly what these 5 key metrics are, but as a bonus, I'm going to make sure you stop getting distracted by focusing on things that could actually mislead you. And there's a good chance that you're falling for at least one of those things, like I did for many years. Let's start with the key metrics. Metric number 1 is daily body weight. Tracking body weight daily is the simplest, least time-consuming, and most powerful way to get a grip on your body composition. You need to track it daily in order to get the most important metric, that is your weekly moving weight average, which is crucial to know to understand which direction you're moving in and at what rate. Yes, it will fluctuate day to day, but this really isn't a big deal, as I'll later discuss when talking about things that distract people. Ultimately, the scale is the fastest way to gather feedback on a current goal you're working towards, and if you're going too fast or too slow. For instance, if you're on a bulk, let's say your weekly moving average is gaining at a rate of 1 pound a week, well, there's a good chance that you want to slow things down and avoid this from continuing at this pace, or else you're going to get fat as fuck quick. Now, I used to just do it the old school way and physically write down my body weight every morning, as you've probably seen over the years in my vlogs, and then I would spend a minute manually calculating my weekly average every single Sunday. And this is a totally fine method, but we live in a far more advanced world, and one of the best parts of this modern world is access to apps on our phone that make tracking our physique progress 10 times easier. So now there are apps like HappyScale or even just the Apple Health app that's going to automatically adjust your current weekly moving average rate in real time as you input your daily weight. So instead of having to wait until the end of the week to know what your weekly change is, you can see in real time how fast and in what direction your body weight is moving in. This is huge and is what I recommend you to do to keep on top of your body weight changes and iron out daily fluctuations with precision and predictability. The next key metric we have to track is one that everyone hates the most, but it's the most powerful thing long-term, and that's your nutrition, specifically calories and macros, of course. People hate this one because it just seems so tedious and so time-consuming, but really, after the first couple of weeks of getting used to it and getting better at it, it could take no more than 5 to 10 minutes a day max. And what are the benefits of doing this? Well, getting a tight grip on your daily calories and your macros virtually guarantees you're going to make fast progress towards your current goal, ensuring you get the right amount of protein along the way to maximize growth or retention. On top of this, it allows you to understand your eating habits better and allows you to optimize your nutrition composition more and more over time. One of the most overlooked and best parts about tracking your nutrition is the freedom that you get with it. Anyone that tracks will agree with me when I say tracking your food allows you to literally fit in the foods you love from time to time in a way that basically does nothing to halt results. In other words, this is how true eating freedom, understanding, and proper relationship with food can be built over time. Now, you do have to be consistent and precise, ideally using a weight scale to weigh out the foods more closely. No, tracking for a couple of days and then trying to eyeball the rest of the week doesn't qualify here. That's just lazy, and as a coach, it's very annoying because these are the types of people that I see in my comment sections all the time talking about, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. Usually, precise and consistent tracking of nutrition eliminates 90% of the confusion on its own. So download MyFitnessPal and start tracking today. The third key metric to track is the most hilarious to me, and I'll explain why, but it's tracking your training sessions every week. The reason saying this out loud always makes me laugh is because it reminds me of the fact that 95% of gym goers, including trainers and their clients, are tracking precisely fucking 0 of their training sessions. This would be like going to work a shift, but not knowing how much you're going to get paid for, if you're getting paid at all even, how many hours you worked, anything. Just going in, working hard, and leaving, hoping that that's all that's required. Hilariously stupid. The stupidity of this is further emphasized when we realize that we have thousands of free apps available on our phone to make tracking our workout sessions literally 0 interference or burden on our time or experience in the gym. In fact, it usually improves the experience in the gym. Look, if you're a complete beginner, then I get why you think you don't need to track. Just go, push hard, and you get stronger. Let me know how that goes about 6 months into this, especially doing things properly. You're going to be holding your gains back so bad, and one can only assume it's either due to an insanely low IQ or quite literally no desire to actually see your best progress, even though you're spending the time to go to the gym in the first place, which is just weird. Tracking training performance in the form of reps, weight, sets, rest times so that you can see and ensure steady strength gains over time will become absolutely crucial if you even want to go from a beginner to an intermediate, and absolutely mandatory more and more as the years go on if your goal is to keep progressing well into being advanced. Proper training is the catalyst to a better physique, nutrition, brings the results to life, so track both. Before I break down the fourth key metric, I understand this may sound kind of overwhelming so far for some, so click the top link in the description and there's a free complete tracking system I put together to help you implement all of this instantly, and you can get it there at any time. So the fourth key metric is visual progress over time, ideally getting consistent progress pictures monthly. Now it can also be videos in the gym, flexing, posing, and as well as relaxed, cold pictures taken in consistent lighting every month, in consistent spots. The combination of these two things will ensure steady progress visually, which is key because, after all, it's a visual goal we're after, primarily. We are essentially treating this journey as a big science experiment. At least that's the way I've always seen it, because that's literally what it is. You are the test subject. Sloppy conduct for legit science experiments or unreliable forms of tracking data, or of course tracking no data and outcomes, would render the science experiments completely null and unpredictable, or just not sound. So since the goal is primarily visual in the sense of building a better physique, standard progress pictures monthly is a good idea. Throughout the month, taking videos or selfies at the gym or whatever other way to do it, like I've already mentioned, including videos of you executing lifts over time for visual feedback on form, etc., will go a long way to help you see what the progress on those other metrics is actually leading to. No one ever regrets taking or documenting the visual changes, but everyone regrets not doing it. The final key metric is the most underlooked and underrated one. In fact, if you do this regularly currently, comment below because that's truly impressive. It is taking body measurements every month alongside your pictures. These are so key because you may struggle to see noticeable visual changes monthly in the case of slow bulking gains, for instance. But your measurements can tell you a whole different story when combined with all these other metrics. Like, for example, a 1.5-inch drop in the waist won't be picked up by any other metric or by visual progress photos sometimes, and if your waist drops by 1.5 inches, this is a very good sign, or at least it's a sign that would have otherwise been missed, and likely an important sign. I see this with many clients of mine, especially when they're in a lean bulk phase. Lean bulks, when executed properly, won't have you seeing big visual changes month to month for a while sometimes. But then we graph body measurements and we see a half-inch increase in the arm, paired with the strength gains, looking lean still, we know you're moving in the right direction. Do not miss the body measurements. Visual progress is extremely deceiving sometimes. People take pictures under slightly different lighting sometimes. They'll send it to me and be like, yo, check out the sick progress. And then when I look at the previous picture from 3 months ago, I'm like, yeah, what are your measurement differences looking like? Radio silence after those ones usually. So those are the metrics, and again, the key here is to track each of these components of your physique at their appropriate cadence mentioned together, because this will give you all of the feedback you need on whether or not you're moving in the right direction. Body weight moving in the right direction at the appropriate rate? Well, that's good to know over time. Visually, is your physique improving in certain areas? That's huge. Body measurements like the waist are not changing much or are going down, whilst other measurements like your arms and thighs are staying the same or even going up? Hard to imagine that you won't be looking better. Training in the gym is progressing, you're adding reps or load weekly and monthly. Muscle growth is guaranteed then. You're hitting consistent calories, proper protein intake daily, optimizing food quality across meals over time diligently. How the fuck could you not be progressing? And lastly, combining all of these factors together, you're gonna have full transparency to be able to instantly spot what issues might be coming up, how to fix them, and if they arise, effectively eliminating plateaus altogether. It's not about seeing progress fast across the board. It's about ensuring that every single week, at least one, and ideally multiple, of these factors are moving in the right direction, and that virtually guarantees your physique will improve massively. It just needs time now. Another huge benefit of tracking these metrics and focusing on improving them is that it keeps you grounded. It prevents you from getting distracted, looking at other physiques or progress on social media, and feeling envious because you're too busy consistently pushing to progress on at least one of these metrics day in, day out. It keeps you away from some super common distractions that absolutely crush results in most people because they aren't fortunate enough to be able to see a video like this, because they weren't smart enough to subscribe to a channel like mine. And because you are, these are the distractions that you won't fall for as a result, because they will take your 3-year results and they'll turn them into 10 years. The first terrible mistake is caring about or relying on body fat calculators or tools to tell you what's going on with your progress. These are wildly inaccurate sometimes to the point where they can be misleading. Again, if all reliable metrics mentioned above are accounted for and progressing, how exactly will a faulty body fat percentage reading help at all? In some cases, it will tell you your body fat has increased, so you might think, oh, I'm losing muscle, which is dumb considering you're getting stronger, measurements are favorable, progress pics are good, and weight is improving at the appropriate rate. In other words, body fat tools are inaccurate and unreliable at best, and downright misleading and demotivating at worst. Sure, if your scale automatically adds a body fat reading for you, or if you want to get a DEXA scan once a year for shits and giggles, Be my guest, but do not make the mistake of actually caring about what these have to say, nor take them seriously. Unless it tells you you're at 8% body fat, of course, and you're clearly not, then the DEXA scan is for sure the gold standard and can't be wrong, if you know what I'm saying. In all seriousness, fuck body fat tools, don't pay them any attention. The next huge distraction I've mentioned previously is daily body weight fluctuations. Firstly, body weight will fluctuate daily. This is normal and expected. I'd be more alarmed if it was moving linearly, and I'd get skeptical that you're either doing something wrong or your scale is broken. But keep in mind, one day cannot make or break results whether you're cutting or bulking unless you really fuck it up. Overfixation on daily body weight shouldn't be part of the process, but rather, sticking to the process itself should be, and just monitoring the weekly moving rate is more important as it accounts for and irons out these fluctuations so you can better understand truly what your body weight is moving in. Personally, if somebody asks me what my weight is, or I'm inputting it into my monthly physique tracker, again, link in the description to grab that if you want, I'm only using average body weight. That is what I consider my weight at all times. If I weighed 215.8 pounds today, but my moving average is 213.4, then I'm currently weighing 213.4. Simple as that. The next issue is setting big weight goals and having arbitrary expectations. Setting a weight goal and getting attached to it can spell destruction of progress a few ways. It can make you disappointed if you thought you were going to look or perform a certain way there, only to find out you've got a long way to go until you actually get to where you want to be. You might think, well, my body weight is super low and I'm getting skinny. Should I bulk? When the job is clearly not finished. Or it might cause you to try and go too fast because you think this goal weight is what matters, rather than understanding how this process can take a while to unfold and develop. More on this later. Arbitrary expectations are the worst, especially when it comes to short-term results. Thinking you're going to look like some insane social media physique after just 3 to 6 months of doing things right and tracking everything properly, it's likely you have average genetics, which means you should expect to look like that closer to 3 to 6 years rather than 3 to 6 months, okay? Yes, this is harder than you think, and it will take longer than you think, more than likely. This might be the biggest killer of people's dreams physique, and that is thinking that going faster equals better. My previous video breaks this down in depth, so I highly recommend you check that one out after this if you haven't yet. But essentially, trying to speedrun the process by aggressively dieting or bulking too fast actually takes longer, because you'll likely have to spend several months or even years undoing all of the bad habits, behaviors, and beliefs. Not to mention potentially physiological issues like hormone imbalances or straight up tanking hormones before you can finally get back on the right true path to make better gains. Don't make this classic mistake that causes most people to take 10 years to see the results they otherwise could have seen in 3. I am one of those people, by the way, which is why I hope you heed this warning. The last problem that can significantly slow results is specific to training, and that is overemphasis on caring too much about the pump and soreness the next day. Chasing a pump or judging the efficacy or stimulus of a training session primarily based on the pump or how sore you get afterwards is not only not smart, it's potentially misleading and wasting your time. While the pump likely doesn't play no role at all, and I made a video discussing the pump in detail recently, the primary goal in the gym should be progressive overload and adding load or reps to the bar with clean form. Managing appropriate volumes, frequencies, and programming a proper session to ensure this is what's key. Some of the most productive training sessions you have may not induce any soreness over time, and potentially also not that much of a pump. Look at the pump as a side benefit, but don't program for the goal of achieving either of these, thinking it leads to more gains. Avoid these classic distractions that deter people from sticking to a boring but guaranteed and effective process of tracking your key metrics and improving on them. After all, it's this very process, tracking these very metrics that I've outlined, that you'll find every single physique athlete that competes at a high level, especially naturally, does themselves to take their physiques as far as possible, even in seriously advanced stages. It's the lack of tracking these things, and as a result, falling to the stupid distractions we talked about, that held me back from way better results way sooner. Now, I hope that you will have saved time, will keep more grounded and realistic, and feel better knowing that you can just find and focus on nailing your daily targets day in and day out, while everyone else keeps overcomplicating, over-optimizing, and over-analyzing things into oblivion, only to come out on the other side with an average physique. Stay the course, my friends. And if you're interested in taking your training, nutrition, and tracking to the next level instantly with my help, the links in the description below have everything you need to help do that ASAP. Other than that, I hope that you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.